Faith, you're muted.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8th Conversations on Gender and Climate Change in Africa. These conversations are hosted by the Inclusive Climate Change Adaptation for a Sustainable Africa, ICASA. ICASA is working towards an equitable, inclusive climate resilience tomorrow, and ICASA aims to enhance adaptive capacity and resilience among communities in Africa through a gender transformative and socially inclusive approach, as well as promote gender responsive climate policy actions and strategies. My name is Faith Gikunda, and I'm the Communications Director, ICASA Africa, and I welcome you to actively participate in these conversations. Kindly note that the conversation will be recorded, and the recording will be shared after the conversation. This conversation is streaming live in the ICASA YouTube channel, and we encourage you to tweet this conversation using the hashtag gender and climate conversation. In case you have a question or a comment, please type in the chat box and they will be answered after our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is Mrs. Lucy Mulombi, a teacher from Kenya, and she will share with us on opportunities and challenges she has faced as a person living with disability. Just to give you a brief about Lucy is that she's a lady, a Kenyan lady, living with disability, and also she champions on gender issues and is involved in quite a number of projects that are championing on people living with disabilities being involved in climate change issues. So I wish to welcome Mrs. Lucy Mulombi to take us through a life journey. Today it's a very interesting conversation. We get to hear of a real life story of a person living with disability, the challenges she has had, and the opportunities that she feels that are there for her and other people living with disability. And as you know, we've been quite engaged on speaking at the boardroom level. And today is the day where we hear the real life stories as they are from the horse's mouth. So Mrs. Lucy Mulombi, you're much welcome to share with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello, Lucy.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Now, my name is Lucy Mulombi. I am a woman with a physical disability, born and raised up in Western Kenya. My mother told me I acquired the disability when I was at the age of 2 years, when I was just learning to make my first steps. And this was a result of polio. So I am a wheelchair user, and at times I also use crutches depending on the environment that I'm moving in. It wasn't an easy journey for my parents in raising a child with disability, because at one time my parent had to separate because they couldn't come to terms with a child of disability in the family. Nevertheless, I'm very thankful to my dad because he gave me the best he could in terms of schooling. Now, my life in primary school was quite good. I never received any special treatment as a child with disability. I only remember those days other children could laugh at me or could look at me because I used to put on a caliper. This is a mobility aid for people with physical disabilities. So every time they could look at me, I could feel an ease. And at one point, I had just to put it aside and just to walk around limping because I never liked people staring at me so much. Little did I know that this could really affect my mobility in future, because actually by using the caliper, it was meant to have some corrective measures on my disability, but I ignored it at that time, and later I had to use it because currently I am using it. In secondary school, I didn't receive a lot of discrimination. Apart from one teacher I remember so much, who was a drama teacher, I was very me to participate because he thought that I could portray the image of the school badly, because as a person with disability, he didn't well. I joined Teachers College, where I graduated as a primary school teacher. Years later,
We seem to be losing you,
a
Lucy.
head
Maybe,
teacher.
yeah, maybe you can put the video off so that we can hear you well.
Okay, thank you so much. So currently, I have witnessed untold discrimination from the community and workplace. For example, at my workplace, despite my good academic history, I've really taken long to be promoted to leadership position, because at times my employer could think that maybe I could not perform my duties well. So this has taken me quite long serving under other leaders, but later on they came to realize I have the ability, and I was given a chance as a head teacher of my school. And also accessing the school, my workplace, is a bit of a challenge, especially during rainy seasons like we are witnessing today, because the terrain of the school is not quite good, and I have to really rely on my juniors to do a lot of supervision at my place of work. Even accessing the school is an issue, because in the rural setup, most roads are impassable during rainy seasons. So it's very difficult for as a woman with disabilities to move either on a wheelchair or even using crutches, because you see wheelchairs, when it's raining, they stick to the ground, and even the crutches are very, very slippery. So accessing my workplace during this rainy season is a big bit of a challenge. And at the school, it is very difficult even accessing other facilities. For example, the washrooms are not disability friendly. When the government puts up structures, for example, the washrooms, they don't consider person with disabilities. So it becomes a very big challenge for me to even access the toilets, the latrines, and at times I'm forced just to sit and decide to go back at home if I need to help myself. So this becomes a very big challenge. And on issues of health, I also experienced so many challenges in accessing health. And as a woman, as a mother, I experienced a lot of very big barriers, especially when I was accessing maternal health. And at times, most health officers, service providers, will look at my disability and even forget addressing other health issues that have taken me to the hospital. I remember some time when I was expecting a baby, I went to the hospital and the service providers were looking at my disability and touching my head instead of touching my belly, just to feel if the baby is breathing well. And they could ask, are you feeling pain in your leg? Okay, just asking me some vague questions. So this is some stereotypes that I don't like as a person with disability, because it derails the service providers from giving me the best. Instead, they just want to find out more about the disability. And some could even go asking vague questions like, now, who made you pregnant? Who is this beast that made you pregnant? And that aside, okay, even the facilities at the hospital are not very friendly to persons with disabilities, because when I wanted to deliver, I had to be carried high because the beds are not very friendly. So those are some of the challenges I've witnessed in accessing healthcare. And even today, when I want to go for physiotherapy services, it's not quite easy for me, because the medical cover currently does not provide for physiotherapy services. When you want to get a good wheelchair for yourself, you need to go and buy. And even the crutches, you need to go and buy, because they are not provided in the medical cover. Now, when I also look at farming, everybody knows that farming is very important, because through farming, we are able to provide food for our family. Apart from teaching, I am also a very good farmer. I plant maize, I plant vegetables, and also try some dairy farming. But unfortunately, it becomes very easy because we are discriminated. Somebody somewhere imagines that persons with disabilities are not good farmers. So at times we are discriminated in those committees of agriculture, and even when they are planning policies that can affect us to do agriculture. Then at times, I've always missed out when the government is providing.
Lucy, we seem to have lost you again.
Hello.
We seem to have lost you again. You can repeat where you are talking about government providing services.
Yes, the government provides some agricultural subsidies. For example, they provide fertilizer, they provide feeds for poultry feeds, but at times as a person with disabilities, I miss out from these projects. Even currently, our county is giving out animals for dairy farming. It has been difficult.
Hi, Lucy. You seem to be muted. Lucy, we seem to have lost you. Or is everyone else hearing? Okay, we seem to have lost Lucy, but she'll be joining us back in a short while. So I request you to be patient as she logs in once more. But you will all agree that that is a very interesting yet sad story where we get to hear of the real life experiences of a person living with disability, a lady that has been through so many challenges when it comes to climate issues and gender issues. We've heard that she has faced a lot of challenges when it comes to health, also in accessing sanitation and issues to do with infrastructure. So it's a sad story, yet it seems that this is something that we rarely speak about. This is something that we rarely let the people living that experience talk to us about it. And quite often we found ourselves sitting in the boardroom, sitting in the meetings, speaking on behalf of people living with disability. So at this point, I think I will call upon one or two people to give the experience. I can see we have a lady, that is Lydia Esther from the Kenya Foundation of Elite and Deaf Community. So as we wait for Lucy, Lydia, if you're here, you can also share your experience and let's hear the stories that are out there and that are untold. Lydia Esther. Okay, if Lydia Esther is not here, we can have someone else talk about the experience. I can also see there is Nancy Marango of Chemi Chemi Foundation, who has been working with people with disability. Nancy Marango.
Thank you very much, Faith, for the opportunity. But I am seeing from the chat that Lydia Esther is saying that she cannot unmute. I think first, if we can give her an opportunity, if you can unmute her from your end, then I will take the floor.
Okay, that's okay.
Thank
Tammy,
you.
please.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Is that
Yes,
Lydia?
we can hear you, Esther.
Yeah, it's me, Lydia.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm Lydia Esther from Kenya, the founder of Elite Deaf Community Organization. It's a CBO based in Kenya, Kisumu, working within Kisumu County, but the office is located in Nyalenda A, that's in Chifonunga School for the Deaf. So being a founder of a deaf organization and you are not deaf, you are not even hard of hearing, but being passionate to serve the community, the deaf community, actually it's one thing, it's a very big challenge. And you realize that most organizations do call upon the meetings. Within, if I can generalize the disability, maybe in hotels, but you understand that most people are not even, especially if I can talk on behalf of the deaf, most of the times they are not being involved, and most of the times they are being left aside and being treated as normal. Yes, they're normal people, but they need a lot. Whenever, like, if you want to employ someone with disability, there's more you need to incur at the office level. So we realized that in most of the meetings, especially the planning meetings, the policy implementation and the policy formulations, they're not even being involved. But you are a hearing person, you are sitting in an hotel, formulating a policy which is going to speak on behalf of the deaf person who is not even participating in this policy formulation. How do you expect this policy to be implemented? Do you even expect them to support the policy? Because you understand that they are facing different challenges. Example, if you talk about the deaf people, they normally don't speak in the exact English, they speak in the KSL. What about the deaf who have not gone to school? Meaning the deaf who has not gone to school will speak in the natural sign language, which is very far from the KSL that is being taught in school. How can you handle such kind of a person? Because even like we talk about the inclusion, for the inclusion to take place, where can we start the inclusion from? At the educational level, is the inclusion at par? Because we feel that these people are being taken separately from the other people, especially in the community. At the community, we'll talk at the household level. How are they being treated by the parents? Because with my area of focus, once I had an encounter with a deaf child, and they are telling me like, by the time when people want to eat, they're being separated from the other family members. The deaf person is eating away from the other hearing people simply because this person is a deaf. What are you trying to show within the community? If you can be treated in such a way at the household level, what about at the neighborhood and the community at large and the society at a whole? So it's a very great challenge. And by the time we think of advocating for the rights of the persons with disability, we have to take them along with us. At Elite Deaf Community, mostly, whenever we go to the meeting, we carry along the interpreter, the sign language interpreter, a deaf member, because most of them, they are part of the officials. We take along them and the interpreter, because this deaf person, the way the person is going to understand something is different from the way me hearing person is going to understand the content. So whenever we go to the meeting, the three people, an interpreter is going to help the deaf people to understand the content being delivered in this meeting. After the deaf person have understood, we come back to other deaf members to do for them to explain to them whatever was presented in that meeting. Then is when I wrap up, or the person who went to this deaf member wrap up all the conversation. So as Elite, that's how we involve them, because they need more information. Yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, such an interesting perspective. And it's nice to hear that there are options that are, the opportunities that are out there that we can all get involved in to make life better and to ensure that everyone is involved in the gender conversation, everyone is included in the policy making, and everything that entails advancing the rights of people living with disability. Thank you for sharing, Lydia. Nancy Marango, please. I know you're in that area as well. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Faith, for the opportunity. And thank you, Esther, for shedding light on what is happening, because I cannot say more than what she said. We develop very good policies. We develop very good programs with the notion that
Nancy,
yes, please.
I think I might have to request you to pause so that you can make your contribution after Lucy speaks. She's back. Okay. And then you can summarize on that, on policy and at what level you've been involved. So please hold on a little for Lucy to finish.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back, Lucy.
Thank you. Hello?
Hello, Lucy, we can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. So I just wanted to finish on some of the available opportunities that I have to really articulate for issues around myself and around other persons with disabilities. I am currently the chair of Kakamega County Disability Caucus, an organization that brings together all disabled persons organizations with the legislators that have disabilities and those without disabilities but are passionate for people with disabilities. Actually, I realized that we cannot go far if we don't bring legislators on board. So it is an opportunity that provides us with a good platform to really push for the agenda for persons with disabilities in terms of policies and general other issues that affect us. Then I'm also a member of several women rights organizations, just to mention a few: Kenya National Advocacy Network. These are also some of the national platforms that talk about issues that affect persons with disabilities. Then as a teacher teaching in the rural area, it gives me a platform also just to see and know how persons with disabilities from the grassroots, some of their needs and how they can be included in various social, economic, and even political spaces. And as a member of several committees, for example, hospital committees, the budget committees, and even civil societies of Kenya, it is also an opportunity to interact with various stakeholders and push the agenda for persons with disabilities. And finally, as a gender activist, I have the passion and the zeal to serve and be a role model for young women and even generally other people with disabilities, to fight for inclusion, to fight for better services in health, to fight for being involved in all decision-making processes. Yes.
Wow. Those are quite a number of opportunities that indeed are achievable. And that was quite an interesting presentation, or rather an account of your story, Lucy. It's interesting to know that despite all what has been happening, you've continued to charge forward with advancing the gender agenda and also fighting for the rights of other people with living with disability. I can see there's something that was picked that stood out very well in your conversation, that stood out boldly, that nothing for us is without us. And that is why we are having this conversation here today, that there's nothing that we can speak about people living with disability without involving them. They are the voice, they are the people living the experience, and they are the people that have the solutions with them. The only thing we can do is to support and also assist in advancing the agenda. So thank you very much for that. And at this point, I wish to move to, or rather to take us to the next session, where we will have a candid conversation amongst ourselves, amongst the participants, about what Lucy has shared, about experiences that you've had in the same area, with either working with people living with disability or yourself living with disability. So the floor is open, and as I take other comments, as we take other maybe 1 or 2 questions, I wish to request if anyone has a question. I'm giving an opportunity to only 2 people to ask questions, and then we kick off the conversation. Any questions to Lucy, please? The floor is a bit silent. Is there anyone
Probably
that
I will ask, sorry, Faith.
Yes, yes.
I will ask Lucy, in terms of agriculture, what is the scope of agriculture that Lucy and her teams carries out, and what are the challenges, what are the opportunities that they have down there in Kakamega? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I want to say in agriculture, I am the chair of Kabaras Center for the Persons with Disability. This is an organization that is based in my sub-county headquarters. We practice hatchery. We have a hatchery, so we practice poultry farming. But the biggest challenge is that actually, other stakeholders have been a little bit reluctant to support us, despite the fact that we've been hatching chicks and selling out to members of the community and even giving out to persons with disability. And we received a few challenges because at some point we had, I can say it's a natural calamity, because during rainy seasons, this area is rain is accustomed with a lot of lightning and thunderstorm. So they struck the electric system of the machines, and this grounded our project. So today the project came down to zero because we could not afford putting back the system in place. We also have some land that is already available. We sometimes practice agroforestry, but again, it was quite unfortunate. We bought some seedlings, for tree seedlings, and I don't know what happened, because the project, just like something happened during the planting, and the seedlings never sprouted properly.
Thank you, Lucy, for that.
And in addition to that, what do you feel that as people that are here, as the participants that are here from different sectors, how do you feel that we would come in to support in making it easier for you to and other people in your status to be able to make it better in agriculture?
Actually, now that we already have land in place, I would wish if we could get support in doing vegetable farming, because land is already available and human resources available, because we are present and we can plant vegetables, especially these kienyeji vegetables. We already have ready market because the center is in the center. We have a big population. We have schools around that can even be buying the vegetables for us. So I'd request if we can be supported in practicing agriculture, then it can go a long way to help persons with disabilities live decent life. Also, we already have the machines, the incubators are in place. It only needs servicing the machines and then putting back our business that we had once started into order. And we'll be ready to start from where we left. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, the floor is still open for conversation. Anyone else that would like to make a contribution or a comment?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, please say your name and comment.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I'm Lydia again, Lydia Esther. Lucy, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, but I think it's just an output. how can someone like you are heading different consortium organizations, different groups? In case, are you guys working even outside Kakamega? Can someone from, maybe for me, I'm within Kisumu, can I join the consortium or the network of the disability, and what are the procedures? Yeah, thank you so much.
Currently, we have Kenya National Advocacy network. This is a national network. We normally have our meetings in different counties. So to join, we have some leadership and governance in place. We have our chair lady, she's called Fatima Mohammed. She comes from Nairobi County. So if you want to join, maybe I can lead you to her so that you can be registered and be part of the be part of the movement for women in Kenya.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. I would like to join the team.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, thank you. I can see Jemima Kutata has made a comment via the chat. Jemima, would you want me to read the comment or you speak out by yourself?
Thank you. My name is Jemima Kutata. I'm Vice President, Mombasa County, a woman with disability and a champion of inclusion and rights of persons with disabilities. What I would like to add is that as a country or as Africa continent, we still have a long way to go when it comes to food security and farming when it comes to persons with disabilities, because this is a group of people who have been forgotten for a long time when it comes to farming, because there are people whose families have been taking them like they can't make decision. They can't be included on the decision-making table to come and make decision. So they have been depending on other people's decision. But it's time, it's the right time to bring people together on board, and also to understand the specific needs of persons with disabilities. You know, when you talk about disabilities, we have different disabilities. My challenges are not the challenges of a visually impaired person or rather a deaf person. And like now, for example, many of the platform now, our meetings are virtual. And you find that if somebody who was a deaf was attending this meeting, some of the meetings do not even have sign language interpreters. Some messages are online, we have a website, but when you go there, they are not, the information is not brailled. So we still need to go, we still have a long way to go to include persons with disabilities. And I'm very grateful for the comments and the conversation which people have already made, because it's a great mile ahead, because we have started. Everything has a beginning, and this is a good beginning of including especially women and girls with disabilities, because they have been left for a long time. And there are people who are farming, they have farms, they have big shambas. So they need to be supported when it comes to fertilizers. They need to be supported on the current technologies. So it's upon the people, the ministries in agriculture and other people on the local community to identify these specific people and understand their needs and support them when it comes to agriculture and food security. And the key is to include them in the beginning of our program. You know, many projects, when they are being implemented, when that is when, at that level is when persons with disability are brought on board. They're supposed to be part and parcel of those programs and also projects when they are starting, so that they can identify where the need is, where the gaps are, and they give solutions on how specific needs can be met when a need arises. So what I can say, people with disability, especially when it comes to food security, upgrading agricultural technologies to meet the specific requirements of workers with disabilities will be very important, and also to identify them and bring them together so that we can better this sector of food security, and also to understand how to cope with the current climate change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jemima. You've just mentioned something about food security, and which is quite related to what we're having a discussion on today, which is climate change. Might you have had a real life experience on climate change issues that have affected you in the form of disability that you're living with?
Sorry?
Hello?
Yes, Faith?
Okay, you seem not to have gotten me. I'm asking, as a person living with disability,
Yes.
what experience have you had with climate change?
Well, climate change has really affected me as a person and also the people I serve. I come from Coast Region and I serve persons with disabilities from Kwale, Kilifi, and Mombasa. And as you know, Kwale and Kilifi, most of our people are farmers. And because of the drought and the climate change, it has really affected the production of food. And also the climate has really affected their lives in one way or another, because the seasons are not the same as they used to be. So like the productivity of the food has really gone down because of the climate change. And even in Mombasa, the climate has changed. We are experiencing cold right now, and the seasons also are unpredictable.
Okay, thank you for that. It's good to hear your story and the experience from all the way from Mombasa or the coastal region. Thank you. So the floor is still open. The conversation is still going on. So let's keep talking. Anyone else that would like to give their experience, to give their comments, or seek an area that you feel that you could easily come in to support today? Geoffrey Simiyu, I can see your hand is raised up. Please welcome, make your contribution. Geoffrey Simiyu, you can unmute. Okay, as we wait for Geoffrey to unmute, I can see there is also Newton Konya, whose hand is up as well. Newton, you're welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm very much happy concerning to this conversation. And I have some challenges and some questions which I can ask concerning to person with disabilities. I'm a person with disability, physically challenged, but my question is concerning to people with disabilities. There is what I'm seeing going on inclusivities. Now, my question is, kwa nini wamama wanapenda kujitenga, including from groups? They just have their own groups without men, and yet I know that a house without a man, that is not a house. Now I'm just confused concerning to so many groups for disabled people whom they just come out and talk for their right concerning to women living men with disabilities. Thank you.
Yeah,
can I respond to that?
Hello.
Yes, Nancy.
Okay.
You
One thing
Nancy
I would
can
like to
respond,
tell
and then
Geoffrey
Lucy.
is, One thing I would like to tell Geoffrey is that it depends on your locality and how you organize yourself. Personally, at the moment, one of the programs we are running at Chemichemi Foundation is the Cheru self-help group of persons with disability. It's a combined group of both men and women. And what we have been able to do for them, because it's also an agri-rich center, we were installing the water tanks last week so that we are able to provide for them the crops to buy. Our next phase of activity will be to provide them with lighting, because we cannot go and give people crops to plant while they have nowhere to see where they are going. We have to address the immediate need. Therefore, Geoffrey, it's all about how you agree with the people you are staying around with, because we are not segregating ourselves. We are not saying this is women, this is youth, this is children. No, 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 no. Inclusion does not say gender. Inclusion says it is inclusive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your response, Nancy. Lucy? Lucy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Actually, Nancy has said it, but I only wanted to add that women, we are not living in isolation. We enjoy working with men so much, but it's because for a very long time we have been very much marginalized, and we are more vulnerable than men. And that is why women have decided to come up so that we really address our specific needs as women. In fact, when we've been in other groups, we've not even been enjoying leadership positions. So now, as in our own women groups, we can enjoy even the leadership positions, and we can articulate for our own unique needs that affect us as women.
All right, that is true. And again, the reason for these conversations is to bring out all these issues, to bring various stakeholders and actors together, so that in case there is an area that has not been covered, people can partner. That is why we are here, we are having a conversation. So if for example, Newton, you feel there's an area you can partner with Lucy or Nancy or someone else in this space, you feel comfortable to reach out to them so that they can also include you in whatever activities they are doing, or support you to start activities that will also advance the participation of men in the conversation. So I see we have about 2 minutes to our time. However, I feel that there's some little time that we lost. So I request that we add it to about 5 minutes so that we can allow 2 more contributions, and then we close the conversation. The floor is still open.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is Geoffrey. I think you are responding to Newton. To Newton.
All right. Welcome, Geoffrey.
Thank you. My name is Geoffrey Simiyu. I'm one of the fellows who've been working with Lucy, and I work for the Ministry of Agriculture. I just wanted to point out a few areas that may have or may lead to failure in agricultural discourse, especially what Lucy had talked about. If we look at the space for people with disabilities, I want to be context to Kapras Center for Disabled. There is need to do a lot of capacity development, and more so doing capacity building. I want to separate those terms. When we do capacity development, we are giving what we call hardware materials. Whenever we do capacity building, we are training. So if these two are integrated fully, we may be in position to bring out the lives of people with disabilities into a better realm. The other area that I wanted us to look at it is that Lucy had talked of the machine having been destroyed by lightening and some failures due to some reasons, as she said. It is because we need to do what we call situating the real project that benefits the specific group of people within the disability. You know, there are many kinds of disability, as I'm not an expert in that area. So the situation is that if we could look like in poultry, we could not now look at how do we situate this problem right from the production of the hatchery and creating the market for the people with disabilities. A point in case, Kakamega County has a poultry project that it sources its stock from, I think, Kisumu or Nakuru. But it would be prudent if the advocacy in which Lucy is, maybe to link up with the legislator so that such opportunity is given to the people with disabilities. And in the end, we realize that Kakamega Center for the Disabled will be getting an opportunity to sell this stock of birds to the residents. More importantly, you know, what makes us to succeed is when finance flows. We need to align ourselves in picking what we call quick win projects. And of course, they must be sustainable. Just as in the case, if we could have, like if we are doing like now egg production, you know, in a short span of time, the members can benefit with ease. And lastly, I wanted to look at and point out on the issue of somebody from Kilifi Kwale had talked of the drought has ravaged the area and brought in a lot of reduce the food levels in those counties. You know, when we have got the issue of food insecurity, the most challenging area that we look at is about in food in nutritional aspect. Yes, we can have food, but the nutritional aspect is what aids us a lot. So in that sense, when the county governments are developing their timely plans, it is my appeal that now you people, you have your own platform, that during those county participation, the area of, we have a county plan called, a document called the County Integrated Development Plan. These are the things that need to be raised upfront, because agriculture at the moment as we speak, it is domiciled at the county levels. So that is the area that I would want us to point out. Lastly, my colleague who just responded, a male colleague who responded, who raised an issue of where that it is only women who participate in such a kind of formal organizations. I may differ with him because in most cases, in most cases and in Africa, we have had patriarchal systems where men have been dominating in all the areas. Until when human rights came in to create room for the weaker the group, it is when now we have seen this progress coming out fruitfully. So we need to give room. Equity and equality for women should not be construed to being belittling men. I'm a man and I will support that one. Lucy is aware. We've been working together with her. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. And you've actually given us, you've gone ahead to give us solutions to the issues that have been raised. What I would probably request you to further do is that, I remember if it was it Jemima or Lucy that raised the issue of being supported in agriculture? Maybe you can link up and give them more information on how to get into the county integrated CIDPs so that they can also benefit. Maybe on their end, she doesn't know where exactly to approach or which department that is specifically dealing with that, so that at least we are all at the same level when it comes to advancing these issues. Thank you very much for your contribution. So at this point, I wish to call for to call upon Lucy to give us a final word on this conversation. It's a very interesting conversation. I feel like we should go on and on, but again, there are more opportunities. There is more room for the conversations. So there's no need to worry because we will discuss further. We will have engagements further. So Lucy, please give us a summarized point. Then we can call it a day.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion that we've had this afternoon. As we leave, I just want to say that let these discussions continue. Let us keep engaging. Let us keep addressing issues for persons with disabilities with possible solutions so that persons with disabilities can live decent lives. And I wish to say that if there is any window anywhere, let us network, let us support each other for the benefit of persons with disabilities in Kenya. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So, dear participants, we come to the end of our conversation today. And as we come to the end of the conversation, I wish to appreciate the various contributions that have been done, the insights that have been given, and also the collaborations and partnerships that will be made out of this discussion. What I would like to encourage is that we keep on interacting, we keep on networking from various counties so that we can share the experiences. Again, I wish to note that this is a continuing conversation, and anyone that is here, any participant that is here that feels that they would like to participate or they would like to organize a dialogue or a conversation, we are here to support you. We can help you set something up. We are open for partnerships, and also to inform you that we have another conversation that will be going on 28th of September. It's a series that is going on gender and climate justice. And the next topic will be gender injustice and climate emergency in marginalized in Kenya. So you're welcome to join us on 28th. You're welcome to send us emails via the email address that was projected. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lucy, for the presentation, and everyone else for being with us. Have a good evening. Hello.
Excuse. Yes. Lucy was supposed to share with me the contact of that lady of Kenya National Advocacy Network. If she can share it, please, for further network.
Okay, Lucy. I think she has left.
Will you mind helping me to follow up with her? If you can share even your email or your contact so that I can follow up with both of you. I can get her contact, please.
Okay, that is fine. Tabi, you can project ICASA's email so that Lydia can communicate with us. Okay, it's been posted via the chat box. You can quickly copy as we end the conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a very good evening as you continue advancing gender issues and as you continue fighting for inclusion on gender and climate issues. Have a good evening.
Good evening to you, and thank you for hosting us.
Thank you all. Goodbye.